Eva. Welcome to my Holocaust Eve talk or sermon of the dog park. So I'm spending Holocaust Memorial Eve at the dog park. Shiva is here. Here she comes. Yes. So I wanted to talk about something not a lot of people know, and it is the Holocaust of pets. So there's two ways of talking about the Holocaust of pets. One is the Holocaust of the pets of Jews during the Holocaust. And not a lot of people know it, but there were there were various racist laws that the Germans passed in the areas where they occupied, the countries they occupied. And one of the horrible laws were, they had like laws that Jews can't sit on a public bench. And my mother told me this because she lived under Nazi occupation for about 2 years in Czechoslovakia. So you couldn't sit in public benches, you couldn't go to schools, and you're not allowed to, what I found out later on, she didn't tell me, you couldn't own pets. So what did it do with all the pets that the Jews owned? So they euthanized them when they were nice. When they were not nice, they would throw them out of the window, like what happened in Kristallnacht, which was a horrible night in November, I think it was 1941, I'm not sure, where synagogues were burned down, Jews were murdered, Jewish businesses were smashed, they burned them down and destroyed them, and they just threw dogs and cats out of the windows in front of their owners' eyes. So they did horrific things to pets of Jews, whether it was a dog or a cat or a parrot, because the whole point of the Holocaust was to take away from Jews any will to live, any dignity, anything that they could actually enjoy in life, whether it's pets, whether it's sitting on a bench, whether it's using public transportation. The list is very long, unfortunately. So what they did is they just made the Jews feel like they don't have any rights at all. Slowly, gradually, it got worse and worse until finally they were taken in kettle trains to concentration camps. Now I'm going to say something that might make people angry, but I'm going to say it because one of my favorite writers, Isaac Bashevis Singer, Nobel Prize winner of literature, who kept the memories of these amazing little shtetl and the Jewish life in Poland alive by writing beautiful stories and novels about Jews living in Poland before the war. And actually he wrote also about afterwards. He didn't write about the Holocaust, I think, but he did say he was a very big animal lover, and he said that for the animals, every day is Auschwitz and Treblinka. And what did he mean by this statement? And I don't want to offend people who think that human beings are on a higher plane and animals are beneath them, and to compare animals and humans is degrading to human beings, and specifically Jews. Because I'm a Jewish person, I can get away with saying it. And Isaac Bashevis Singer also is a Jewish person, so we can say that. The Nazis use farming as a model to how they treated Jews. So they actually, because they treated Jews like cattle, we have to think a lot about how do we treat cattle. And that's what Isaac Bashevis Singer also said, that after the Holocaust, we should really, as Jews, not treat animals the way we treat animals, because we were treated like that. The Jews were treated like cattle, and nobody should be treated like the way farm animals are treated. Nobody. Also not farm animals. Nobody should be shoved into little trains, in cages, kept in cages. Nobody should be separated from their offsprings. Nobody should be abused and hit and shoved into small spaces and murdered, slaughtered, whatever. And they used the farms as the model. When I was a child, I did think the farms are wonderful places. You know, we had that, oh, MacDonald had a farm, and in Hebrew, Dot Moshe hayta chava. And you think, my father used to take me to a kibbutz, and we would pet cows. I remember as a child, the cows licking me and thinking, what a beautiful life that is. And then I ended up living in Europe where there were a lot of cows, tons and tons of cows everywhere. And then I realized that actually, even when cows are treated well and they have a lot of space to run around, they're still slaughtered. They still separate them from their young ones. They still use for the dairy industry. They still are forced to produce milk all the time, and they still have a horrible quality of life. And that goes for chickens and as well. And in Europe also they eat rabbits and horses. So this is the model in how they treated Jews. Now, in my life, according to my life philosophy, speciesism, which is the treating animals as if they're beneath human beings, is a form of racism. Because I don't really think a dog, a cat, a cow, anyone that they have less of a right to live. And yesterday I was at the yoga center and we had a lesson on selfless service, it was, and then Swami Shivananda, who is the founder of the Yoga Shivananda, he was a medical doctor, and then he had deep roots in Hinduism, and he said that we should treat every wasp as if he was a god, if he was a divine creature, because all, according to his philosophy, to that particular philosophy, and I think it makes sense that every living being, whether it's a wasp or even the smallest of being, contains some sort of life force which should be equal to that of a larger animal. I mean, whether it's an elephant or wasp, it shouldn't matter. There's still divine creations and miracles. If you study insects or even amoebas, they're just so amazing. Even the smallest of creature contains so much. And to quote the American poets, Walt Whitman, I am multitudes. You know, every little creature is just amazing. When I studied biology, the short time I did that, I was just always amazed at how the mechanism that goes into creating animals is just so complex and so beautiful, so designed so beautifully. And whether you believe in God or not, you can still believe in a divine force or something about every creature that makes them unique. And they shouldn't be facing slaughter, murder, torture. And this is the lesson I think we should all take from the Holocaust. I think we should all become vegetarians after the Holocaust. And definitely vegan is a possibility, because in which way are we better than the Nazis if we treat animals the way the Nazis treated Jews? We treat animals like they don't have a right to live, and they don't have feelings, and we know that cows have feelings a lot. Mammals definitely display feelings, and actually, even when you don't show feelings, you still have feelings. So these two issues concerning animals should be thought about, that there were so many animals killed. And if you think for 1 minute that the Nazis loved animals and Hitler was a vegetarian for the right reason, then you're wrong. Hitler was a vegetarian because of a mod, a fashion, some sort of discipline issue. It had nothing to do with empathy. I don't really think he had empathy for anyone. And if he did have empathy that was only towards certain beings, then it's not really empathy, because empathy should be, when you feel empathy, it should be for everyone. It's not just for certain animals or beings, you know? So that's my take on the Holocaust. How I'm planning to mark the Holocaust Memorial Days, I think I've had enough. When I was a child, I was I used to spend hours listening to my grandmother describe concentration camps and torture and children being taken away from their mothers. And I was very young, and I really think that it made me hypersensitive. I cannot even watch anything about the Holocaust without bursting into tears. It's hard for me to even talk this much without bursting into tears. It's because I'm really post-traumatic. And I think it is important to talk about the Holocaust, but I think it's also important to conclude. What we are going to conclude is not that the Jews suffered more than any other human beings on the face of this planet, which might be so, which might be true, but it should be a more universal conclusion that racism and hate has no place in any human society. Hating people because they're different than you when they're not being violent to you is it's unacceptable. Oh, look at this dog run. I love animals so much. I cannot even imagine what it would have felt like